Everyone, it is me, Lady Helen. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today as we go through lesson 4. So right now I'm in the craft room, so y'all won't get to hear my dogs and all that stuff like that. But we're going to build upon lesson 3 and we're going to go to lesson 4. Remember I told you previously that lesson 3, there's going to be a little bit more questions and a couple of different things that you may have to add or something like that. So we're going to go to the screen. Now, once we go to the screen, we're going to open lesson 4. We're going to open it up. We're going to read the instructions. We're going to look at what to download. And we're just going to use our same continuous tools and whatnot we've been using and to do this project. So let's go ahead and go into project 4. All right. So there we go. All right. So here I am. We're on project 4. So if we go to Texas Teachers, I had to, I'm uploading something on YouTube. But if we go to Texas Teachers there and we log into our Canvas account, we're going to go to lesson 4. Okay, so you're going to go in, you're going to log into Canvas there. Once we, my ear. Y'all, I went swimming and my ear, I should have put some plugs in my ear and I didn't. And so, yeah, I have swimmer's ear on this side. And I said, Lord, help me. You know, that's what we got to say sometimes. It's just, Lord, help, Lord, help, Lord, help. Right? All right, so we're going to go here. We're still waiting on. Let's log in. Okay, so we're going to log into there. I'm just going to go to courses. Go to all courses, obviously. So we're just going to scroll down. Oh, Jesus. Y'all, my ear is hurting so bad. So as we scroll down, I think this is it right here. Okay. Alright, I'm just going to say start our project. Alright, so in this part of the project, we would develop, this is what it says. This project is a continuation of the earlier project. Remember I told you, I'm looking at the wrong screen. It's going to add upon each other. Okay, this is kind of where I changed mine because I was confused at first, but I'm letting you know so you don't have to change your whole lesson plan. All right, so it says 1, you will develop students' expectation chosen in the previous project into plans. This project has 2 submissions. Okay, and it's telling you look carefully at the certification areas below, blah blah blah. So if you're certifying in one of these, then your lessons must be from, English language arts. Okay, any other ones, it must be in your thing. If you're like all certification areas, kind of like I do it, you just pick one and it aligns with the TEKS and different things of that nature. And it just goes over video, and it basically, goes over video and all that stuff. Now, once you have done all that and you go to next, you're gonna get your no, that's not right. I'm looking. Oh Jesus! It has something where you actually download the thing at. I don't know where it is. Oh, okay. So I just find for all certification submission instructions. But it's a little, like a little template. There you go. These are the lesson plans format. Alright, so it's lesson plan format 1, lesson plan format 2. Alright, so you can, download that accordingly. Oh, no. Mines don't look like that. Alright, so whatever your focus is, you're going to do that. Let me find the one that I did, because that's not the one that I did. Mine is different. Mine don't have the focus on fluency and all that stuff like that. But if that's the area where, are you certified in any other area than those listed above? Yes. Okay. So here we go. If you are doing something else besides the listed above one, here is the format. You're going to download. So this is what I did, right? So when we go through it, now we're going to be using groups. So anytime where there's a group, we're going to highlight it. Wherever they're using critical thinking or problem solving skills, you're going to highlight it, that color. Where the learning modalities are, you're going to underline it, okay? And here go all the questions. So we still have the kind of the same stuff. You have your TEKS. You're going to copy and paste your TEKS. You have your learning objectives. You're going to copy and paste your learning objectives. Okay? Now you're at the asset and performance and measure. You're going to, I don't know if we did that on the last one. Let's look at our thing to see. Okay? So let's kind of do a comparison there. So here we go with the planning instructions and all that. All right, so here go mine. So as you see here, I did whatever I was supposed to do, and then I put, the area of certification. I took, this one is one for history. Okay, it's actually submission too, but this is one for history. So I did the seventh grade history, I think this is, and I took directly from the TEKS, the learning objectives. Basically, the student will describe and compare the civil rights movement. All right, and then I put, how am I going to measure the performance? And I put, the scholar will construct a children's book, okay, explaining the civil rights movement in Texas. The book will be accompanied a measure rubric. The rubric will require a length of 5 pages. It will have an expansion of the civil rights, including Texas iconic figures and all these people, right? So here we go. We have our materials. Okay, I said the students can use their Chromebooks. Put that there. Vocabulary and academic language. It goes through and it asks you, what vocabulary terms must students know to understand the concept being taught? So right here, they need to know James M. Farmer. They need to know Hector B. They need to know all of these people, right? So I put that there. When it comes to the focus, it says, what activity will the student engage in that will placate their interest about the upcoming lesson? Think about this like a preview for an upcoming movie, something that ignites curiosity. So during this part, this is like the focus of the anticipation, and I think here I said we'll start off the lesson with a 5-minute discussions on the student's prior knowledge. So now we're using prior knowledge of the civil rights movement. So I'm going to be asking the students, what do you know about the civil rights movement? Can somebody, when you hear civil rights, what does that mean to you? What does that look like? What does that look like to you, etc. And it says, and then we're going to listen to an excerpt about the life of James Farmer. And I have the link to where we're going to listen to. Okay? So now this is all included in my lesson. And this is from the Historical Commission. And the Historical Commission has a whole video about this. And I just found this online. I thought it was absolutely amazing. And of course, it was really great. And it comes from a great source and everything. And it's kind of real quick. Okay? And I said, from there, we will answer this question. Freedom rides were all people who were fighting for injustice of segregated bus travel. Rosa Parks was a major figure in those events. Though Ms. Parks was in another state outside of Texas, in what way do you think these freedom rides helped them achieve their goals nationally? Right? Because the freedom rides weren't just in Texas alone, but it also affected public transportation all over the United States of America, right? So now we're recalling on their prior knowledge, because all through high school, all through elementary school, primarily when it comes to what's that month? When it comes to Black History Month, guess what? That's what they teach. Abraham Lincoln, Sleep the Slaves, Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, George Washington Carver, and Rosa Parks. They know Rosa Parks, okay? So that's why, and I taught elementary, so that's how I know that they'll be able, they definitely will be able to recall that information. And so we're going to have a conversation, and that's going to set the focus and the anticipation and all that good stuff like that, okay? So then it's telling us connect the prior learning or real world. This is what you say to students about what they have already learned and how it prepares them for the upcoming lesson. Okay, and of course I told them we've been studying the struggles that Texas has had to make that has made to treat all of its residents equally, including civil rights movements for minorities. I didn't limit it to African Americans. I did not limit that to Hispanics, right? Because guess what? This just did not affect just black people, Hispanic people. This also affected Indians. It affected a whole variety of people. So it was minorities who actually were inconvenienced, and during this, during these civil rights movement and whatnot, right? And I let the children know these include Hispanics, Native Americans, Asians, Indians. Like when I say Indians, like not Native Americans, but Indians from like Pakistan, Middle Eastern, people from the Middle East and things of that nature. Anybody who wasn't white, basically, if they wasn't white, minority, okay? And then I go in and say we identify leaders of the civil rights movement, because remember, just previously we talked about Rosa Parks and whoever else that the students would like, and so we start to connect the experience with the real world, okay? Here we go, right here. Remember before in project number 3, where you literally copied and paste your objective statement. Boom, there you go. You don't need to fill out nothing else, okay? Now we get into this one right here, where it's like, well, okay, what's the purpose of this? Now we're gonna take our lesson plan a whole different level, and we're gonna explain what is the purpose of us teaching our kids in this history lesson. What is the purpose of us teaching them about the civil rights movement, right, in this history lesson? So I said and I went there, okay. And this is information that I previously know about this, but it says, I said the transatlantic slave trade is how the origin of the African diaspora in Texas began, right? So now we're talking about African diaspora. When we get to talking about African diaspora, that does not just include Africans. It includes anybody that it was Africans, but it also includes any other minority group that was picked up along that trade route that was going through the Atlantic. So it says, during this time, we know that Texas was still a part of Mexico. Minorities was still a part of Mexico. Minorities continued to fight for freedom until the Civil War ended April 9th, 1865. And after the Civil War, Texas minorities started fighting for full equality. New rules were put in place to reduce African American participation in public life, such as education and voting rights. They were passed in many of the southern states. These rules ensure segregation will be in place. Poverty will be greater among minorities and left any minorities in a disadvantage socially. And I was like, the last impacts of social disparity, which continues in modern times, connects to the continued fight for civil rights among minorities, right? So this is the whole purpose, is learning about, of course, the civil rights, fighting for equity, and times to connect to the continued fight of civil rights among minorities. Because now minorities, of course, are considered those who are not of Anglo-Saxon descent, but now we also have to include our LGBTQ community, other communities who do not have the same similar things. So even though, in general we talk about white people and, white and black, to be very honest with you, now we also have to extend that beyond. So we can't stay stuck in just the Civil War, but we also have to make it make sense in a child's life today, right? So here we go. I broke this down for direct instructions and all that, right? So this is in your instructional steps, okay? It say include step-by-step instructions, key points, and directions to give. So what I did was literally went down through here and did my step-by-step instruction, okay? So I have my direct instruction. This may help you structure it. So here's the case of Hernandez versus Texas. I'm not going to go into that, but I put the whole, whatever happened with Hernandez versus Hernandez, I think that's how you say it, Hernandez versus Texas. And I went on, and I'm going to put the link in here so you can look at that yourself, so my video won't be super duper long, okay? So I go in, I tell about the situation, all that stuff like that. All right, and right here I said Hernandez versus Texas. This is the most important things you need to know about this case. The American LULAC, a public advocacy group for Hispanic, which played a similar role to the one that's played by the NAACP. In this lesson, it's just asking us to give direct instruction, but in lesson 5, we're gonna have to ask questions. All right, so you can just come in and modify and begin to ask questions accordingly. All right, so here we go. Here goes one of the group thing. I believe this is, no. This is, I said this was critical thinking. All right, so here I write out everything, right? Once I have wrote out everything, then I'm going to go back and I'm going to highlight, as this is asked of me, learning modalities, the use of groups, and critical thinking. Okay, so after I write this, I go to the critical thinking. Here go our groups. Here go some more critical thinking stuff in the independent work section. And the way I did mine, again, I broke it down like this because it helps me direct instruction. I also did a guided lesson, and I did some scaffolding. So I scaffold things down for ELL students and my SPED students, okay? And of course, it's just the traditional type of scaffolding. If you don't know how that look, I'm pairing the students together. Well, I put ELL and SPED students will be paired with group members that might be a little stronger in the research area for the group. They will, so it's not homogeneous. It's not like when you have groups, you have heterogeneous groups and you have homogeneous groups. You want to make sure that your groups are heterogeneous. The only time you're going to use homogeneous grouping is maybe when you're doing kind of like those group things, those one-on-one things. But most of well, not one-on-one, it wouldn't be a group if it was one-on-one. But where you're working on skill building and different things like that, and everybody is you're maybe rotating groups or something like that. But you want to make sure your groups are heterogeneous, right? So I said they will be assigned modified questions to research. So when paired with their with their grade level peers, they're still able to participate in the assignment as well as their non-disabled peers and stuff like that. Okay. So I broke down the independent work, what they were going to do. Okay. So here it goes. It's a literacy strategies. I can't even read today. Help me. Literacy strategies used. So freedom, choice, and the conversation about research, right? The use of technology. Student use of technology. Students are able to use their iPad, Chromebooks for their research. All right. Here is the closure right here, right? So you close out the same way. So as you see, now there has been added things upon the lesson. We go on down. Even as you see here, you got those questions. You know that song say, "Why you asking all the questions?" Right? So here we go. We have the question part. So this one, basically, answer your questions. Explain how the instructional strategies you choose for this lesson help your student. Y'all, my ear. You choose for this lesson help your student learn the material. Consider the diverse learner needs in a typical classroom, including your students who are below grade level or English learner. Okay, so answer the question. And I said by giving the children a list to choose from minorities for the students to pick from. This also inspires students and those with minority backgrounds to identify someone who can relate to their history. This also promotes creativity and investigative research inside and outside of the classroom. This allows students to guide their thinking and gives ability to scaffold and assess before, during, and after. Those are keywords. Before, because when we want to assess, We want to ask, I'm looking at the wrong place. We want to access before, during, and after to make sure our students are comprehending and understanding what they're learning. And it says, and after what the students have learned in the lesson. That's how I responded to that. Number 2, it says, explain what criteria you will use to group students. Include these things such as group size, learner characteristics, special needs of specific students. So you're answering the question according to basically what they are asking you. Okay? Don't overthink this. Don't do extra. Don't do below. Do exactly what it said. And that's what I did. Exactly what it said. And I said students will be grouped based on their interests. The groups will be at least 3 or less, right? Because research shows that it's best to do, I think it's 3 to 5 kids or something like that, in each group. Those who struggle with reading will be placed in a group that has a person that is strong in reading. When picking the groups, students are given odd and even numbers. The even numbers are for the strong readers. The odd numbers are for a struggling reader. Each group has to have at least an odd number, right? So, however I assess the kids when it comes to reading or whatever, we know our strong readers, we know our non-strong readers. So those who have strong reading, they're assigned an odd number, right? Those who have an even number, etc. But the kids aren't going to know what that means. They just know that, I'm number this. The teacher has me at number blah, 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 right? And so each group has to have an odd and even number in there, okay? I don't care if it's two odds and one even, 2 evens and 1 odd. It don't matter. They just need to make sure there's an odd number in that group, okay? And so that's how I would do that. Number 3 says, explain how. Y'all, all right, okay, we're almost done with this, y'all. My ear hurt, my eye hurt, everything is hurting now. Explain how this lesson plan supports what we know about the learning that occurs and how learners develop, construct meaning, and acquire knowledge. Okay. Let me put my other glasses on. I had to put my bootleg glasses on because those glasses, I don't know why, they just heavy and they're giving me the blues. All right. I put this lesson is student driven. The student is showing their prior knowledge as well as learning new knowledge in these areas, both required to meet the TEKS, but additionally in the area of choice. They will use their interest to research, investigate, construct meaning, but additionally they will be able to use higher level thinking when creating their books to show that they understand enough to break it down in an abstract manner and present it in a concrete manner. I think I got tired right there because that didn't make sense, but so it is what it is. So I'll leave this in the link so that you can see it. And also, let me go to the English one. I did the same thing with English one as well. The ELA one, where, y'all, my ear. It's the same thing. I had to use groups, critical thinking, learning mode. All right. So here we go. I have everything right here. I put the classroom, the settings. I need to learn how to spell as well. All that, right? And you just fill it out. So you're gonna have 2 lesson plans, and each of your lesson plans are going to be filled out accordingly, kind of how we just went over. And as you see right here, child, I just really broke this down. I highlighted the stuff that I need to highlight, all that, and answer my questions. And that's all it is to doing project number 4. Alright. So I hope, sorry about that. I hope this has helped you with project number 4. It's still 20-something minutes, so hey. But kind of going through it, giving you a guide. Again, I'll put the link to my project below. I'll link the one to submission number 1 where you can see that, but just use that as a guide. Again, don't copy exactly word for word what I'm doing. That's plagiarism, okay? But when you're actually doing it, be creative. Do it like you do it. You're going to be an amazing teacher, and I know great things are going to come for you. So until project 5 and project 6 is graded for me, then I'll come back and I'll do project 5 and I'll do project 6. But I gotta make sure I do it right. So I don't want to tell y'all the wrong way, and then they like, girl, you done told all them people the wrong way. So if mine is right, then I'll come back and show and get it right until whatever. So I want you to pass it on the first time, because I know many of you are like myself. You are taking these courses, you're trying to get your SOE so you can go ahead and get in the classroom. And I know that you can do it, because you can do anything you put your mind to, right? And I'm talking, and I know sometimes on YouTube people, they'll ask certain questions, but I'm like, if you're not in the program, it's not really relatable to you, right? And I'm talking, well, what about this? What about that? If it's related to this, I will address that, okay? So we are addressing this, not actual classroom stuff, all right? But when we do get the classroom stuff, we will address classroom stuff. So until next time, I'll talk to you soon. God bless you all, and good luck.